I know, right?
I was expecting to see so much more international.
I know, that's what I thought.
Right,
that's what I thought. And what's really funny about the food trucks out there is not only are they Italian, but they're like the worst food when it comes to seafood, you know? Prosciutto, all the stuff. All the Italian foods, prosciutto, there's cheese, the bread is all like refined carbohydrates, and then there's a bunch of sweets. I know, right? And I think that the impediment to the international food is that they're actually not allowed to bring in food to the airport. You can't bring in food to the countries. But what I thought they would do would be like local restaurants, local European restaurants, or local Ghana restaurants, like whatever it is, would then have that. But I think the foods are actually just expensive. It's very ironic. It's like it's not affirming because it makes you still feel alienated. Because you're not even in a bubble. It's like, if they can't have slow food here, where can they have it?
I just expected to see all of the computers from all over the world.
I'm just all out late.
At least the workshops.
I'm almost there. Hold on.
I wonder if they have any feedback.
I know.
Like, I was telling Jim, because he's very much in leadership and everything, that he was just telling me all the options. And I wonder if there's like any feedback for how to make a difference this time. If they do evaluations or it's not just for the food, you came for those workshops, right?
Yeah, everything. But I did expect to see different flavors and products. And the food trucks and students. I didn't see anything show out.
There's a vegan area. One vegan burger.
Yeah, they're using the vegan burger. Some of them are not healthy. And then others
Well, I don't know about this one.
yeah.
That's it. That was just like one. And we all remember.
So what did you get? How did you get introduced?
I signed up ahead. They have delegates. So I signed up with Soul Food USA. And then you can either be sponsored or unsponsored. The sponsored you can have the arena or you can be self-paying. So I'm just, but it doesn't do anything really. It just is like mission to the opening ceremony.
Yeah, the opening is the one.
It was amazing because this whole thing is free and open to everyone. That's why you don't even need this.
Well, you don't need to plan on Thursday, right? It opens to the public at 4. And then
Oh, that's the open
yeah, but I'm a member too, so I get in without that. You know, I just have a membership that starts in Tuesday. So show them the printouts and
Too large to be
I do a garden, I support the science, and there's nothing really,
you like it enough to become a member. So
yeah. And I'm part of the New York Times.
where in New York?
I'm in the East Coast.
Anything in the village is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great area still. Occasional, but also some big around. Lots of people that are out. I used to be pretty scared of like
There's an app. There's an app. Okay, I'm gonna go just meet different people.
Oh, you're not going to say that?
No, I am. I'm gonna be right.
Oh, just say hi with you. Okay. Nice to meet you.
the workshop room? Looking forward to it. Yes, welcome.
It's a nice hat. Hey, Junior?
Good afternoon, Terra Madre. Terra Madre, North America. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Jennifer Bailey. Can you all hear me just well? Okay, great. So I'm here. It's my pleasure and privilege and honor to be here today with Mr. Jim Embry, and he and I have been just delighted to share with you some background information about joy and justice in the Terra Madre movement. So I think we're all in for a real treat today because Jim Embry, he's been part of the Justice Initiative and the Joy and Justice Initiative with Terra Madre for the past few years. He's very familiar with the AJI Manifesto as one of the primary authors of this document, and so he's going to share with us some background information about joy and justice in Terra Madre, and then we'll be talking with you about some of the ways that we've incorporated joy and justice into the movement that we've been having for the last about a year and a half together. So yep, we also, thank you. We are sharing this time slide being shared today with Marie Holzer, yes, of course, thank you. And so Marie Holzer will be speaking with us about healthcare and how social work and healthcare and Terra Madre all come together. And I, as a social worker, master's of social work, I'm happy to be able to share this space with you as well. And I think that these social work is not ever far away from joy and justice, so we want to be blended always, and so it's perfect that we're sharing this space together. So can we give a big applause for just the movement and what we're doing today? I think it's really exciting work.
I was born by the river and the floating. Morning, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. Why? Been a long time coming. But I know, we know, the change is gonna come. Oh yes it is. Our work is about maturing as a species. About human maturation, not just about joy and justice. But we know from the traditions of Africans who were enslaved, they would say, joy, joy comes in the morning. And every morning we can rise up and sense of light from the sun and say, bring light in and send light out. That's the work. Every morning we can have the responsibility of joy and justice. And what I want to do in the beginning here, right quick, kind of quick, is honor you all who are here. Can we just get a quick word to see who is here today with us? You can introduce, not just a word of name, where you're from, and why you're here.
Good morning, Michael Goldstein here from New York visiting, and I just love everything about justice, love food, farming, taking care of ourselves and our family and each other.
Great.
I'm Russ Kofi here from Guyana by way of Atlanta. We're here at this workshop specifically because joy and justice are inseparable.
I'm Jayla. I'm from the U.S. and I am at Terra Madre as a student. My friends just wanted to learn more about environmental justice and farming.
I'm Lionel from the U.S. Students, my friends, and I also know more about the food system and farming.
I'm Julia from Northern California, and I'm here to keep evolving as human.
My name is Marie Holzer, and I am here to present along with Jim and Jennifer. But I'm also here to just immerse myself in the good energy and the solidarity that the Slow Food Festival provides.
Hi everyone, I'm Jesse Kapalatuka about me. I'm here to learn.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm here to provide joy and justice.
Hi, I'm Erica. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm here for Jim and Jennifer and to make
Peace everybody, I'm Ramondo Woods II. I'm also here from Detroit. And I am here to learn as much as I can about sustaining our environment and bringing that back to the youth in my community so they understand the value of it.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Noah White. I'm coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a young farmer. I'm really here mainly for the exposure and the learn. I feel like I want to just carry the torch from the elders. I like how Brother Jim said, human evolution, we definitely want to evolve as a species.
Hi, my name is Paulette. I'm a grower from London. I'm here today because I met Jim yesterday. I'm very much interested in the work that he does. I'm also coming to Bugs in November, so it's also thinking about networking as many people as I can to make the trip to Houston as easy as I can.
Hello, my name is Alicia Foster, and I'm from Alabama, USA. I'm here today to learn about justice and joy, and I'm also here because I believe that having an opportunity is justice.
This afternoon. So this is a squash, green like that. The next year is pistachio butter, garlic, lemon.
My name is Kello Karamoko, born and raised in Detroit, living and working in Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, Agricultural program, and I'm a farmer, and I grow food and my calling.
Hello everyone, I'm Robin Moses.
random stuff, but we have to take pictures to make sure we highlight and promote how incredible this session is. So that's me.
Okay, very special.
Alrighty. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all. Jennifer and I met about a year and a half ago. Have a partnership. It's about systems transformation. The slides we're going to be sharing will kind of outline our work in the last year and a half or so. And we'll kind of begin with where we're from. I'm just an old country boy. Here's, if you want to do a photo, here's our email. I'm sorry, thank you, Bert. Aaron's got my back over here. QR codes, email, put a picture of that, contact. Again, I'm a country boy. I'm Kentucky. From Ohio. What's a bit about Ohio?
Oh yeah, so my family, I can say it here on talking from Ohio. My family has reached 6 generations from Ohio on the legacy of stolen land and stolen labor. So that's something that I have known, in my who I am, my spirit, as we all do, because living here in the United States, that's our history. So I'm happy to be here because we need to be elevating these stories, and that's what it needs to be.
So Jennifer's from Troy. All right. I'm from Kentucky, and I wanted to mention that our folk were from Kentucky since about 1800. We brought across Appalachian Mountains, largely out of Nigeria. So we claim land stewardship since 1800. Not just when we bought the land and we stole the land in 1890. I'm an old country boy, been blessed, and been part of all the social movements for the last 75 years. I was 10 years old in 59, was part of CORE, was picketing, waiting in, being spit on, being cussed out, and things of that nature since a young age. That's where we're from. And we're blessed to be here again in Torino, Italy, for the terrific Terra Madre gathering. This is my 8th time coming here. I've also been a delegate twice for the International Congress. One was in Chengdu, China, and one was here in Torino 2 years ago. Our work is beyond just our farms in Ohio and Kentucky. Our work is beyond simply our state and nation. Our deep devotion, dedication of liberation, freedom, emancipation, higher level of learning, living, is about how do we also connect with our other sisters around the African diaspora. So we're trying in every way around joy and justice to connect with folk on the continent, in Trinidad, in Belize, in Detroit, in Santa Cruz, and I was there 2 years ago, is our work. It's beyond just the idea of the city or our county or our university. And we've been doing a variety of things that defines this sense of global connection, especially with those of the African diaspora. As Jennifer was saying, we dedicate our work within this country's founding contradiction. Stolen land, indigenous people, stolen labor from African people to do what? To do food and agriculture. What that means is the foundation of injustice in our country is rooted in food and agriculture. And what we see now, other forms of present injustice towards farm workers, immigrant workers, farmers committing suicide, goes back to this founding contradiction. What we also say, however, because food and ag are essential to human life. Beyond air and water, food is essential to life. Not just something that we can say is delicious, but we wish we had some. It is life essential. Food and ag also represent then the fulcrum point of transformation. I'll say it again. Food and ag represent the fulcrum point of transformation. That's why our work centers around food and ag. And we maintain that we can begin to resolve even more the problems around food and ag. They represent then the capacity to transform other institutions. All other forms in our country of injustice stem from food and ag. That's the nature of our work. The Terra Madre gathering represents for us like coming home to the world. The world is here. Common people are here. Farmers, honey gatherers, growers, fisher people, they're all here. So I told Paul Petrini in 2022, I said, I'll be back every year, even when I'm in a wheelchair, I will be here. And this sister here is saying the same thing. I'm here, I'm going to be here. That's the work. It's like coming home. That's how I look at it. And we know about all the different various projects within Slow Food. I won't go through all of them. But what we're saying is, we also ground ourselves in this idea, the same cultural concept. The same, to know where you're going, we must kind of reach back, and find the seeds, the culture, the wisdom, those who have gone before us, to carry them forward. So we ground ourselves in that African ethos. St. Cuthbert represents as well this idea of taking flight, becoming bigger than we are now, maturing as a species. We give honor again to Paul Petrini, the founder. We give honor as well to Eddie McKeevick. And I'm saying for all of us, who comes to Eddie as a new president, excuse my French, use his ass, which means is write to him, okay? We asked him before to do a short video recording for our Bugs conference. Y'all was there. Y'all saw Eddie there. I'm saying get to know him, hug him, give him some love, okay? But also invite him, as we have done around Joy and Justice in your work, say, hey Eddie, we're in Detroit, we're in D. Send us a recording about this topic. We're in the ATL, we're in Atlanta, we're in Georgia. I'm saying, not only know him and love him and hug him, but ask him to begin to work over communities and have him present. Him being present means three things to me. It means that Slow Food recognizes the future lies in young people. He's 35 years old, Ugandan farmer, young person. It also means that the Slow Food future lies more in the global south than the global north. Third thing is, the future lies in how well we, as a global community, can help restore the capacity of the African continent. Okay? That's what he means to me. So when you go back home, show his picture, talk about him, send emails out. He's our president. Okay? Let's follow him, support him, and see him, give him some hugs, take selfies with him. Now, talk about joy and justice. We find all kinds of ways to incorporate this concept in our work. It might mean in our communities, taking trees, taking young people's faces, and let this be the face of our neighborhoods, making these connections. It's part of what we do, work with all kinds of artists. We also have been saying, as BIPOC folk, as African American folk within Terra Madre, there's Slow Food USA, and then there's Terra Madre. And they don't quite match up the way we think they should. What we're saying, we love the snail, we love the snail, but we're also saying Slow Food USA, we should be on a skateboard. Okay? Sometimes we move too slow. And we want to get slow food, move a little faster. You can't move by your own, crawling efforts, then just get a skateboard and move a little faster. That's been our concept for some time. Back in 2016, before it was called the Slow Food EIJ, meaning Equity, Inclusion, and Justice Working Group, to help get slow food moving a little faster, especially around the questions of justice. In many ways, slow food was about rich white folk sitting around with dinners because $100 a plate, and that was slow food. And we're saying, yeah, we like to eat, we want to have dinners, absolutely. But we want those words, good food, good, clean, and fair, that we weave justice in every term. Good, clean, and fair. All encompass justice. So we formed a working group 2016, and the purpose was to get more people like us here, more BIPOC folk where? At Terra Madre, at Slow Food Nations. We've been doing that quite well over the years, and today, this week has been exceptional. This year has been exceptional. We all know that. We've also felt it's important to write a document to help guide the Joy and Justice work. So we wrote up, it was called the EIJ Manifesto in 2018. That was done by the EIJ Working Group. It wasn't done by Slow Food National staff. We wrote it up, and there was some reluctance to accept it. So we kind of wove our ways around, sent that document to the international staff, and they said, wow, man, that document is right on time. It ought to be a model for other countries. Can you please do a workshop in 2018 at Terra Madre about that? We said yes. We said over time, then the Slow Food USA national staff said, okay, it's okay with the international, it's okay with us too. It's important to talk about the struggle, the work to overcome these barriers towards justice. And we've done that. What we did, we commissioned our dear friends in Tanzania. There's a school there, Embry school, who are partners of ours. We said, look here, we want 500 of these made up. We're going to sell them to help raise money to do what? To send BIPOC people to Terra Madre and Slow Food Nations. They were sold for $20 each. We have about two of them left. Just show the work being done. This is done by young people in Tanzania, okay, about joy and justice. But now, those are the efforts of the working group. But now, you can go on the website of Slow Food USA. You can find joy and justice, buttons, stick-on things or whatever else. You want to understand, though, what it came from. It came from BIPOC folk asking us to be more dedicated, more real about justice. What we've been doing the last 3 years is going around the country and what we call this Joy and Justice Journey in June. This is a map of what we've been to 25 cities, 15 states, 10 to 12 slow food chapters, 15 food co-ops, about 10 Native American reservations, organizations, family, state federal parks. We've gone all the way out west and invite us to come to your community. We might be able to squeeze down and do a little ATL. We were in Santa Cruz as part of that journey. So we're saying we can all do a joy and justice journey in our state, in our community. Join us this coming summer. We're going to be in 20 cities. Come up there with us. Joy and Justice Journey. The EIJ Working Group in 2019 sent Slow Food National Staff about a 3-page document outlining the work for the next 5 or 10 years. Part of that document said we need local ambassadors to go around the country to make sure the chapters are getting support, get support to implement the EIJ manifesto. When I went out west years ago, the last 2 years, I visited 10 or 12 chapters, and almost all of them were all white. I said, wait a minute now, y'all need some help. So that's the reality of the idea of joy and justice. That's why it's important for us to be here, work locally, ensure that when we're in Sacramento next year, that we have a great diversity of people. We're involving the cultures of indigenous, African, Latinx, Asian, so all people, okay? Okay. Talk about you.
Yeah, so the basis of our work is about a sustainable future for us all. And what we see as the basis of that is that instead of, we all grew up probably with the Big Bang Theory, right, in Mother Earth when we were in school, I did. And we said, no, that's not actually how it goes. What is it? It's the big seeding. And so Mother Earth, she's a mother, and that she is a seed, and that she has given birth to all of these other seeds, like we know in nature happens. So we say that the first principle is earth-centric and woman-centric. So how do we incorporate women into the work we're doing in agriculture? And women are responsible for the work that we have in agriculture as well. So incorporating those stories. Indigenous wisdom is the other basis. So it's the work of women, the work of indigenous women, cultivating the seeds for 9,000 and 15,000 years is how we have our agriculture today, and to honor the traditions and the wisdom of the indigenous nations. So we're very blessed that we have so many nations here with us today. And how are we ourselves, how are we learning? How are we increasing our capacity? Is it the state of Montana that has incorporated indigenous education into their schools? And that's important. We should all be knowing and learning. Next is George Washington Carver. And George Washington Carver, we say his work is so prominent as a scientist, as a researcher, and as someone who's talked to plants. And for us, how are we getting at the level of the plants? What are they telling us? And his work, he worked for over 4 different presidents in the United States, and is largely unknown because he was whitewashed and blackwashed as well. And it's important for us to uncover him. And art and hip-hop. Hip-hop is the language of youth. It's the language of culture. It's how people get their news. It's how people, imagine if Beyonce, imagine if Lizzo was here today. What would that be like? And talking and preaching the message. That's the language that we need, the energy that we need now. And the seed work in Terra Madre. So the Terra Madre is all about seeds. And so it's all about Terra Madre. It's all about seeds. And those are combined for us. And then a transformative future. So George Washington Carver said that without a vision, there is no hope. We need to create that vision that we can then live into. So these are the 6 pathways. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So thank you. This is the slide for the Black Urban Growers Conference. And the Black Urban Growers, how many of you are familiar with the Black Urban Growers Conference? It's coming up in Houston in just a couple weeks. And we had a presentation last year in Philadelphia where we were pleased to have Sister Erin and Brother Magnetic Sun who were present for that presentation. But we were there talking about Terra Madre, the farmers. How amazing that we as farmers get to travel, right? That we have taken that and that we have gone to this international level to be able to connect with each other and the other international farmers. And it's important for us to take back these messages. So not only doing it here in Italy, but when you're having the opportunity to speak for young people or speak for other people that have interest in it, and we all have interest, right? We all eat. So sharing the message, and this is one of the ways that we were able to do that.
There are 6 people here this year who were at Bugs last year that were in our workshop a year ago that are here now. When you go home, share the experience with others and tell people, I've been to Terra Madre and you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. And bring in 2 years more folk from your community. You go back home, keep talking about your experience here, share it.
And this is part of our journey and joy and justice in Ohio that we created with the University of Ohio State University, my alma mater. So they invited us in. President Mark Arsenio, he's the Slow Food Columbus, Ohio president. He's also a professor at Ohio State University, and he had asked that Jim come and speak into some of his classes on slow food in college. And so from there, Mark created a 2-day agenda for the two of us to go about and talk about the importance of George Washington Carver, to meet with the Vice Provost of Diversity and Inclusion at Ohio State, and amongst other things. It was a 2-day full package agenda. Not only did we do that, but we combined those things with the Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Conference and speaking at the Gammon House. So we've incorporated the Underground Railroad into the work that we do. Basically, wherever Black people are, that's where we can be as well for joy and justice. And that's the message we want you to be able to take home. That there is agriculture and joy and justice are everywhere, and it's really a telling these stories. Yesterday, Michael and I were just speaking about the Underground Railroad. How many of you know the Underground Railroad is in your neighborhood? The Underground Railroad. Do you know where it goes in your neighborhood? No. Okay. Well, there is history there for all of us to discover. We were all the way up in Minnesota, and people thought, man, there can't be an Underground Railroad up here. Yes, the Underground Railroad is up there too. Wherever people were oppressed, if people were oppressed in their area, they were too getting and seeking freedom. And people have been seeking freedom ever since they were taken from the shores of Africa, right? So every single way, there is a way for us to remember and physically put it into our body, that energy that it takes to resist and to use and to speak with our ancestors, to have moments of, you know, we are here together today. We can speak to our ancestors in that same way when we know their history. And their history is available to us. It's in a book, maybe online. There's so many ways. So these are some of the things that we have done to incorporate. And lo and behold, this place called the Gammon House is 20 minutes from where I grew up in Ohio, not knowing my history. So I just invite you, encourage you, that's the story I have. But like, we all can have that story.
And what we're saying is that everybody eats, right? Everyone eats, and we all have to change. So joy and justice means for all of us, we speak to everybody. Young kids, older people, elders, government people, corporate people, farmers, fisher people, should be our message to everyone. Don't limit who you talk to, because we all have to change. That's our, as we travel around, we're talking to his vice provost and people who clean out the dorm rooms.
This is another showing about the relevance of George Washington Carver and the lecture that Jim gave at Ohio State University. And it took place in the Hale Hall, which was dedicated to Frank Hale. Again, part of the legacy of leadership of Black folks at Ohio State. And there's some joy. We definitely wanted to put joy in the presentation. This picture is from the George Washington Carver Science Lab that they have at Ohio State University. And one of their premier researchers who's leading the effort, they've created a project working together with NASA, all of these Fortune 500 companies that are going to Mars. And so they're creating this replica of the space station that's going to Mars at Ohio State University. And here they are having some fun in the replica at Ohio State. Yeah.
What about this?
Yep. So right here, Jim is demonstrating and showing this tile that is organically made. So as they're going to Mars, they're looking for doing research on how they can create materials that are organic, that people can live with, right? It's almost a 2-year trip, 1 year to get there and 1 year to get back, about that folks may be up in outer space trying to get and coming back to Mars. And so what are they wanting to ground in? But organic things. And so this tile is made from fungi. And so it's non-toxic, which is really important, right? We don't want to be around toxicity for 2 years. It's not flammable, so it's not going to burn up. And it's very lightweight and it can easily be broken down. So that's incredible.
What that means, Ben Burkett and other farmers, let's find out what specific fungi they're going to be using to line the walls of a 3-story space station going to Mars. Because we will be growing the fungi they're going to be using on the space shuttle going to Mars, okay? It's about joy and justice on this side, but intergalactically. That's the work. So we work with a variety of higher education, Stanford, Princeton, Harvard, Spelman, Tuskegee, Dillard, Yale. We work a lot with universities to help transform them, especially around food and ag. We told Harvard several years ago, y'all offer courses in food and ag. You ought to have a farm. You ought to have gardens all around the campus. And no, you don't know. We're a liberal arts college. I know who the hell you are. I know who you are. But every higher ed needs to be dedicated in promoting new ways of seeing food and ag. You know, I have Princeton, Harvard, and Yale doing things like that. Not just land-grant colleges. So our challenge around justice is, you higher ed, y'all got to change in a radical way. Y'all's footprint is heavy across the whole earth.
Yeah. So our work also includes the seed commons that is in Cumberland in Kentucky. So instead of, mostly we think about things in terms of the city, like Detroit, and we think about a particular region of the country, like we always talk about the tri-state area or something like that. And so for agriculture, what we want to get to is thinking about the river and how the river would affect this area, right? Because it impacts all the soil, all the microbes, everything that's in there. So that we have created the seed commons that's in Kentucky, that's in near Berea, Kentucky is where we've been meeting that was where we met last year. But we're talking about the Cumberland Seed Commons because we're talking about institutions, we're talking about libraries, we're talking about colleges and universities. Everyone who has a vested interest in that soil can then come together. And in that way, it can be more inclusive. And we have to get beyond simply the artificial boundaries that we've created as humans that don't really make sense in terms of Mother Nature.
And what we're saying is that when we go home, think about forming a seed commons in your bioregion based upon your river systems. That's a way of viewing it from an earth-centric standpoint. Beyond the city, beyond the county borders, to a bioregional approach around water systems. We suggest there's a way of developing this idea of joy and justice and seed work. So what we're going to do, we're going to just push through a few slides. Okay, thank you. So we do, again, to understand, a whole variety of things. around joy and justice. There is no limit. Everyone eats. Jennifer mentioned our 6 pathways, and one of them being George Washington Carver and the African American ethos. That's essential for others to understand. What we're saying is, this image, designed by a friend of mine, represents Carver and the African ethos guiding the future. The question is then, where are we in the tapestry? How are we telling the story? How are we incorporating the work of Carver and people like him, the Booker T. Watkins, the Harriet Tubmans, the Fannie Lou Hamers, in our work? Our story is an important part of the story of whatever we're doing. We need to keep raising those names up, that energy up, the vibration up in our work. Again, we said earlier, Carver's been whitewashed and blackwashed, but NASA understands his relevance. By naming, as Jennifer said, the space lab is named a George Washington Carver Science Lab. They're using fungi. Why? Because Carver was the premier mycologist of his time. He had 4 named after him. He found thousands of them. Enough is enough. I'm saying let's reclaim Carver as an important pathway to the future. Carver worked in saving, regenerating black soil of Alabama and black souls of Alabama. And our work is the same. To regenerate, reclaim, compost, preserve, protect the soils, whether they are the black soils of Alabama, the red soils of Kansas, or Arkansas, or wherever it is in your area. The soil and how it gets replenished and regenerated is about soil justice. In Detroit, when I was living there were brown fields everywhere. Am I right? That's the work about joy and justice for the soil, for the air, for the water, for the people, animal people, plant people, rock people. That's the work.
Justified language. And so, again, these are ways that people, Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver, went out into the community to bring that information to where the farmers were. And that's what we're saying we need to do again today. So that's a lot of what Jen and I have been up to, speaking with people, being out in the community, networking, building relationships. The relationships that we had built in Columbus, Ohio, are built from my university. I was a student at Ohio State. I did an internship at the Columbus Public Health, and then we got them engaged. And so in that way, we built the healthcare system combined with the agricultural system. But we can't lead in, right? We have to lead toward the future that we want to create.
And I would say, if there's a book I would recommend that we all have in our libraries, it's this book here about the green vision of Carver and Ford, with all of Ford's weaknesses that we understand. What we're doing now around recycling, non-dairy products, cover cropping, and Carver was doing that for 40 plus years at Tuskegee. They were developing cars to run off of plant fuel and not oil from other places. They were building car bodies from soybean oil, steering wheels from flaxseed, rubber from other plants. Get this book, read about it, and better understand. If we had followed Carver's vision, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. my slide here. Over here we know it's Carver. On the right there is my great-grandfather, who was for emancipation in Kentucky. He was friends with the likes George Washington Carver, Du Bois, Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell. He brought all of them to Kentucky, where I lived at, 3 times in the 1900s. Many of us who come from the South have a similar story that we should find out and connect with. How were our people involved with the black farmer cooperatives, the black business cooperatives, the black education cooperatives? We should understand those kinds of histories.
So, Wangari Maathai, she is an incredible leader from Kenya who was awarded eventually the Nobel Peace Prize. But before that occurred, she fought. She was attacked, really beaten, and suffered many hardships for the purpose of agriculture. She was brilliant. She studied abroad. She was sent to study abroad and to be a leader in the country, but then she realized that when she came back, the government in Kenya was cutting down the forests, and the women were being oppressed, and so she fought against that, and her family suffered greatly. She also helped over 9 million women to start businesses and started saving the 30 million trees planting in Kenya. And so economics for the purpose of agriculture saved the country, saved the environment, and she's someone we should all know. So I encourage you to look up to her.
So the point is about joy and justice. It's about the work we do. It's who we lift up. And Wangari Maathai was the epitome of joy and justice. It was through her work with the women all around Kenya. They were being beat up, oppressed, knocked down, denied. But in a joyful way, they kept by the millions planting seeds to overturn the Moor dictatorship. That's the work about revolution. How are you steadfast? How are you consistent? How are you pushing a bunch of men to say, look, get out of the way, you're archaic. Move out of the way. We're coming through here with a different vision of our reality. So lift up folk around the idea of joy and justice.
And this is a book here called See Folks. We also encourage you to get this kind of book. This story is a great story for kids, for families, and about the importance of gardening. In my neighborhood even, the stories that I see here in See Folks, and Jim took this picture here, so it's a great photo. It goes along with the book, but it's about a little girl who wants to, she starts a garden, and she's doing so secretively at first, and then the whole community kind of comes together. Different people from different cultures, backgrounds, languages. You know, that's where the space was in their neighborhood, and it was an urban garden that they had started. Yeah.
I'm gonna mess with people from Detroit. This picture is from Hamtramck, the Hobart School in Hamtramck. This young sister here was from Yemen. Came to Detroit, speaking no English, had a hard time adjusting to being in a new school. We began a garden in an empty lot full of glass and bottles and tires. It got transformed to black earth. It was all transformed. Look at her fingers. That photo is called, and I'm hanging in an exhibition, it's called Gold Dust. Why that? Because black earth is more valuable than gold. But look at her eyes. That day we were harvesting radishes, and she hadn't spoken hardly a word for several months. She was in the garden in Detroit by the sun, picked a radish, and she said, "Look, Miss Housey, it's a radish." We said, it was Selena. Is she talking? Yes. Gardens can transform people's lives, can free them from the trauma of migration and new places. This image epitomizes joy and justice.
Is this incredible book called Farming While Black, and Leah Penniman, she's for Soulfire Farm in New York State, and has written an incredible guidebook to not just Black folks, to all folks, I would say, because we have to look at farming in a completely revolutionary way. We need to be spiritually tied to the land. We need to understand what are the rituals, what are the ways that we need to connect with the indigenous people. And how do we honor, as Jim has said many times, that we are all indigenous to the earth. So what is it that we need to do to get back to learn? And so this book is an incredible resource. We highly recommend, that you get it. And then there's Natalie Ritzel.
Okay, this book came out about 3 years ago, and the book title, as you can read it, is that we are each other's harvest. But within that book title, and within the book, there's lots of vibrational ancestral energy in that title and book. The title comes from a poem by Gwendolyn Brooks. In Chicago, she inspired like the Black cultural renaissance of artists in that period of the 70s and 80s and whatever else, Gwendolyn Brooks. She wrote a poem called Paul Robeson to express her love for Paul Robeson. That's the poem's name. In that poem, the last sentence is this title. So when you get the book, you're weaving in all this history of all kinds of artists and poets all through time. Paul Robeson came over to Europe, and his school asked knew about 20 languages. So, I have an essay in that book that describes my family legacy. So add that to your book collection. In closing, we're giving honor and homage to the Terra Madre global movement that we say is the most radical, transformative, revolutionary movement on the planet. Why? Because we up in here. It's about food and agriculture. It's about common people all over the world and the earth. It's important for us to go back home to have that international connection. In closing, let's have the Jennifer close it out here.
In closing, we want to close with this quote from Arundhati Roy that said, "Another world is not only possible, she is already on her way. And on a quiet day, I can hear her breathing." And then when we connected to that space within us, we will be connected to all the living creatures, the rock people, the water people, all the indigenous people, and may we continue in that way for joy and justice. Thank you for sharing these moments with us.
Synopsis of what my program does. I want to make sure there's plenty of time for question and answer because Jim just gave a beautiful presentation. My name is Marie Holzer and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm so honored to be here. I'm so honored because I've had the fortune of listening to Jim with a lot of presentations such as the one that he just gave have been transformed by his work and have sought to carry that work into sort of disrupting a little bit of the medical system that I work in with the transformative power of food. So I run a program that's at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, which is in the heart of Nashville, and we use food as a powerful medium, a powerful tool that I know that you guys all, everyone here at Terra Madre understands the power that food possesses. But we use it to initiate transformative conversations about redefining what our definition of health is, right? I know everyone here at Terra Madre has a deep understanding that food is medicine, but this is a big lapse of knowledge that exists within the healthcare world. Our healthcare providers don't necessarily have the same understanding and depth and breadth of that concept, such as the ways in which we've been listening and learning about that here at this conference. So I run a community garden and have a community supported agriculture program. We partner with 3 farms that utilize regenerative agriculture. We have Delta Farms, Painford Farms, which is a farm that seeks to build empirical evidence that suggests that regenerative agriculture is the only way forward. And we also partner with the Growing Together Farm, which is a farm that is a collective of 7 Burmese and Vietnamese farmers that came to the United States due to conflict existing in their countries of origin, but have brought with them their indigenous growing techniques and been able to seek meaningful and dignified employment through the work that they value. So I also assist in a course about climate change that we offer to medical students to sort of build an awareness of the ways in which climate change is currently impacting and is projected to impact the human health and flourishing on a global level. And we use food as a fun and enticing way of sort of entering in that conversation. And yeah, so I had a presentation, but I thought that what we were talking about earlier was more important, and so I just wanted to give a brief synopsis, but I'll pass it back to Jim.
What we're going to do, Marie mentioned Cane Fork Farms. That's the farm owned by the Al Gore farm, okay? Former Vice President Al Gore, this kind of farm. Now, he called me about 3 or 4 years ago and said, I heard about your crazy ass, and you're working around climate justice and climate change and environmental stuff. My farm manager heard you speak at a Portland conference a year ago and said, he's a crazy guy, got a great message. I said, cool, what else? He said, well, I am doing a Climate Underground conference in the fall, and I want your country boy ass to go to a panel with me. I said, cool, I will. Did you know? He said, you know, I've been kind of weak on climate justice. I said, I know you, and you've been weak. Were my exact words to you. I said, but hey, I got you. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can see this hour-long Climate Underground panel with Al Gore, myself, a brother named Heber Brown, works out of Baltimore, the Black Baptist Church, Food Alliance, and a brother who was part of the work of the mockery workers. And we were all there on that panel. But the point is, everybody eats, everybody got to change. We've been to his farm about 3 times. I took my family there about a year ago, but now we're going to come back to Vanderbilt and join in with your work with Brother Gore. I call him Brother Gore. I said, look here, I'm as old as you are. I'm about as old as you are, but you're my brother too. No disrespect. Anyway, the point is, when you go back home, work with everybody. Bring joy, bring justice to everybody. We are like imaginal cells in the butterfly metamorphosis. We're trying to engage the other cells to think that, well, you were the feet of the caterpillar, but now you're supposed to be the wings. You were the butt, but now you're the proboscis. That's our work in our communities, to help people understand a larger vision of how we need to restore as a species. Now, we're going to have questions, comments, time for that. Thank you all for being here. We love y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
All right, so I had a couple questions. My first question was in regard to the project at Ohio State University with the spaceship and the mushroom walls. Do you all know exactly the amount of mushroom that you need to be successful in this project? And then how do we go about connecting local growers to that project if anybody's interested?
It's an excellent question. We've been asking. So we don't have the answer to what kind of specific kind of fungi they're growing for that and how much of it they would need. So I don't know, but we have certainly been asking that question. And we do know there are some local mushroom growers already in Columbus. A young African American boy, he's got a mushroom farm. And so we try to, lift it up, because that's part of the reason why we tell the story, so we can ask these kind of questions. So thank you.
Yes. Okay. One quick point here. So they're having this coming year, at Ohio State, what's called a bioastronautics conference. Bioastronautics. Two kinds of bio. Means how do we research and create the capacity within a 3-story space station, how to eat for 2 years, which means you're growing plants in zero gravity. They use one of Carver's points of recommendation about the sweet potato. He wrote 3 bulletins on sweet potatoes. He said, yes, eat the tuber, but eat what else? But eat the leaves too. NASA gets that. They're working now on growing sweet potatoes, zero gravity, for a 2-year journey back and forth. But if you sign up on our sign-up sheet, you can make sure that you get invited in next year. It's called the Bioastronautics Conference. The other bio means, how do we get along as humans on a 2-year journey? The point is, we will need all kinds of people there at the conference. Those who can talk about leadership, emotional, how you deal with trauma of a long-range flight, how you get along, how you take leadership from women or younger people, and things like that. And we'll begin to ask that question of what particular fungi species are you all needing. Again, it's a 3-story space station. It's about 25 feet wide, and it's going to be circular for 3 stories. They're going to need a bunch of those things for the replica and for what's going to fly actually to Mars. Great question. Other questions? Yes.
Okay, my second question was, do you all have any advice or avenues on, once we return home, how do we go about connecting our resources that you all have used personally to get students and young growers to spaces like this in Slow Food in Terra Madre?
How do you bring young people?
Yeah, or just any resources that you all know of how Slow Food or Terra Madre can help us get.
So the Terra Madre journey starts as soon as we get home. It does not start in 2 years. So it was actually, we just spoke this into existence. When we had this, I didn't know when I did this conference, when we spoke at Bugs about Terra Madre, that I was coming to Terra Madre. and it was great. Aaron and Son were there too, and they had been at Terra Madre, but it all just kind of happened. So partly it's, it's the spiritual work that we're doing. The It's not just logical and how do we nuts and bolts, how do we get people, because people have to see themselves differently than who they are currently seeing themselves. It's a transformational journey. So my thoughts about that are to whoever you're close to, whoever you can engage in that conversation. If you know a teacher who's got a classroom and they're willing to maybe every one Friday a month, you go in and you do something about gardening. But it's about engaging people on a one-on-one level. If you've got a church and they're concerned about food security or food insecurity in their neighborhood, this is a great thing to do. It's to help start a garden or help get, bring them in, or there's a lot of different ways that we can be active in our neighborhoods. But my biggest thing is we have to start with the people that we know. It could be a history office, it could be your local tourism office, it could be anybody, but you are going to have to feel that this is the right thing to do. So tell everybody about it, but engage with local organizations that you have a foothold where you can climb together and share a vision for your community. In my neighborhood, we just started, I live in an apartment building, huge, 17 stories, and we had a meeting with the apartment complex manager last week because they started composting in my big, huge building. And now, that's a whole it's anywhere you can find a conversation. You guys trash? Okay, we need to have a conversation about that. You feed people? Okay, let's have a conversation about that. Oh, you want to do agriculture? You want to have a business? Like, whatever that is. There's plenty of ways.
Also, 2 quick points. There are 5 friends of ours here from Knoxville, part of Rudy East. They came to our conference back in December. We talked about Terra Madre. They're here now, 5 of them from the hood in East Knoxville. The point is, they managed to get money to send 5 people. We got here from Detroit. How many people from Detroit? A bunch from Detroit. Finding ways. Yeah. Ben Burkett back here, and our friends Kolu and Darren are part of what's called the Southern Black Farmer Fund, okay? They help fund 20 people to come here. Here's as well students and professors from Dillard University. If you haven't met Zella Palmer, okay, she was here last year. She brought with her 8 students. When you go home to the local area, in Detroit, contact Wayne State, Michigan State, University of Michigan, Mary Grove, okay, UD Mercy. So y'all ought to be here. Contact the local government, contact the churches, contact sororities, fraternities, chefs, young people's groups, okay? But there is funding in a variety of ways to help get folks here. But make daggone sure, if you reach out for higher education and say, no, you can't come by yourself, professor. No, we ain't having that shit. You come like Zella Palmer's doing it. She's our mom. Huh?
With 20 students.
Yeah. Oh, 20 students, okay?
Hey, Baba Jim.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I was just saying she thanked me for 20 students.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that. But I do have a question. If I could get your contact information so that I can into your presentation, I would be more than happy.
Now, any other thoughts you can share about how to get people here that you might want to share?
Well, this may be, I was going to ask, can we get the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, just get Embry.
Okay.
Just get Embry. Ben, you want to talk about how you all arranged to fund 20 farmers?
In Pembroke, we have a foundation. We pay for it out of the foundation money. We put a small amount of farmers in. Most of our is farmers.
Right.
From Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana.
Yeah.
And
by the way, Ben is the godfather of Terra Madre. Okay, the godfather, okay? He helped found years ago the Federation of Southern Cooperatives. but he works largely in the South. One of the founders, the Godfather. If you don't know him, get in his corner, give him some hugs, how to contact him. He's been to Terra Madre 5 times. He was on the Slow Food USA, and he's still on the board. He's a big dog, okay? He's a big dog. Get to know Ben and say, look here, y'all got a pot of money? Y'all got a pot of money? Well, in Detroit, people who lived there came from where? Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. Am I right? Saying, look here, we want part of that money. Help us create a fund. Okay? Again, we sold bracelets to get people here. Okay? So be creative in how you think about how to get people here. It's important that we're here because we know the USA around the world has 800 plus military bases. We disrupt sustainable farming all across the world. We've been forced to migrate across the Mediterranean, the Rio Grande, is what we do. So we know our work has to be as well international. Other questions? Comments?
Enjoyed this talk because when we started out with the garden, it was really together to start a little garden, but the results of these women coming together to start this garden has really reverberated throughout the community. We have other people wanting to start gardens. We're training children to love growing their own food. So we're just, and I'm really happy to be here. And I would love to bring my kids up here so that they can see, what impact this is having on the whole.
Yes. Thank you. This book here called Seed Folks, one of my all-time favorites. I was in Detroit, lived up there for about 5 years. We use this book a whole lot. The book is about a young girl who's Asian American in her community. She goes out, no one's talking to each other, no one is smiling. She says, wow, like, what's going on in my community? Then she's given by an elder a few seeds. So, well, what do you do with them? They said, well, you find some soil and you plant them. In her neighborhood, in the hood, in Detroit, in Knoxville, in Philadelphia, there were just empty lots full of glass and tires and things. What she did, she went and she found a small corner of this lot full of glass and bricks and tires, a little corner, and put seeds in there. Then she came back every day to look at it. They sprouted. People were in the windows around this neighborhood saying, what's a little girl doing down there? She's there every day, talking to the plant, watering it. Slowly, a few elders came down. So the girl like, what are you doing? I'm not quite sure, but I was giving some seeds. Long story short, over the summer, the entire lot was cleaned out, became a community garden. Folks all came out to work in the garden, share their culture, share their recipes. The point is, the power of seeds, the power of young people, and the power of women. What we're saying is, not just us that can be transformative. Engage the young people in the work of transforming their communities. Then we will be able, in much greater ways, talk about joy and justice. Get the book, read it. Maybe you're already applying it. The will of young people to transform their communities through seed work. Questions, comments?
I got one question. I came in a little late, boss. Did they start the space station project yet?
Well, what happened about 3 years ago, NASA decided to partner with many large corporations like Omnibus, Mitsubishi, whatever, to finance a trip to Mars. It's about also a commercial enterprise. So 3 years ago, NASA gave Ohio State about $10 million to create a science lab that would create the replica of the new space station. Okay? So they're up there now. If you want to go up there and do a tour, we're going to be up there. We got invited back in February to come back, visit the lab again, and consult on a number of things with Ohio State, not just the science lab. But they're up there now building the replica, okay? Which means you have to build it exactly where it's going to work for real. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. And they're up there now with all kind of grad students researching how to grow in zero gravity. It's going to be one closed system. There's no waste. You follow me? There's no waste. Everything has to be reincorporated into a technical or organic cycle. But they're there now building the replica. They will build the actual space station at the Columbus Airport once they get this replica completed. But right now, they're at the beginning stages. Now, I'm friends with the sister who's the dean of the Ag College at Tuskegee. And we're speaking about, she asked me, and she's involved to a degree. She says, well, you know, we should have got that money. I said, I understand. But for all kind of reasons, the money wasn't given to Tuskegee. But in spite of that, the point is, we want to be involved in the early stages. So we were suggesting for this, we're doing next year this conference called Bioastronautics. We want young kids who are in NESB, which is the Black Engineering Society, to be up in there at the ground level. We want women up in there at the ground level. We want community people in there at the ground level. We want to involve more people, common people, people of color, women as well, at this early stage of the construction of the space station, but it also means having learning modules on how we're going to get along in a 2-year journey as part of that work. Does that make sense? Okay? Again, we're going to be inviting people as we hear about the date of this conference coming up. It's a whole new concept called bioastronautics. Okay? That's what it's called. Other questions? Okay. You have last minute questions, comments? Yes.
I really just want to thank y'all for the work that you're doing, for the mission. Even every time you put it up there when you're speaking, where Mother Earth is coming, making you listen quietly and connect, you can hear her. I think that I was just saying this to someone, I don't know if Molly's in the room, but it's time for us to breathe and to slow down. And each time I see this slide and hear y'all, I get chills from the work that you're doing because I do see the transformation that's happening. Like you said, we can see how the dots are being connected. And even as you plot, like where your journey has gone, you're seeing how this global transformation that's happening with you guys, with food systems, with our work. So just want to say thank you, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. In closing, we mentioned this work is about species maturation. Okay? Humans are the youngest species on the earth. Okay? 3-6 million years old, how old we are. If you go outside where the trees are, the plants, them fools are 200 million years old. You follow me? They're 200 million years old. They know who they are. Ask a tree. You know who you are? You sure the hell do. Yeah. We're still trying to discover what it means to be authentically human. We still think we should be fighting wars, killing each other, oppressing women, degrading the water, degrading the air. That's not who we want to fully become. So that's why I say it's important to understand that larger sweep of time. Our work is to put every day just one foot in front of the other and try to walk within that pathway of ancestral divine guidance and do our work every day. If we do that, then we will see in our lifetime small nuggets of transformation. Small nuggets. We work in Kentucky real quickly with a utility company, and what they do, they transmit natural gas in 5 states, 45,000 miles. They partner with Monsanto to do what? To use Roundup to spray 45,000 miles to kill the weeds, to do the work along the transmission lines. We met with them about 3 years ago. I was asked to come and speak to their board of directors about 3 years ago. That's what y'all doing is archaic. I thought you were smart people. You're dumb as hell. You're spraying the whole environment. You got to do better. I suggested the idea of planting what's called low-growing flowers like white clover, red clover. What they're doing now? They began 2 years ago and said, we think, they called me back 2 months later and said, look here, we like what you got to say. You got to transform. Let's have some meetings. Let's incorporate what you're saying. What they're doing now, they're going through 45,000 miles, tilling up, being nose, cutting down low, a light rolling, disking, and putting in white clover, red clover, which we know attracts pollinators. That's the work. We're saying give up Roundup, give up Monsanto. And they said, we're going to do that. That's the work. Talk to everybody. We all have to change.
I think we're complete for the day. Thank you so much. Join us. Well, if you want to hear more, we're going to be around. So we've got another sharing space with some other folks, and we have a presentation on seeds.
Seed sovereignty.
Yes,
6
sovereignty.
p.m. Thank you all. Love y'all much.
Thank you, Marie, for all your partnership and support.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.